And good morning. It is 21 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from Healthy Kids, Chaves County, Paula Camp and Becky Joyce are back with us. And back from Dexter School, Shelly Montgomery as well. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you doing with school and everything now? You ready for a break? I mean, I imagine spring break's around the corner.
It's around the corner. We're just glad to be back in school.
This is true, but I know regardless whether school's in session or in a classroom or in a home or wherever it was, you and your staff are going gangbusters, trying to feed everybody in Dexter and beyond. We say Dexter, but it was kind of, especially during the hairier times of the COVID thing.
Right.
It was more than just Dexter you guys were taking care of.
Yeah,
So.
they helped each other out, which was great.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you're rested from that and ready to, it's probably nice to actually do menus in a cafeteria again, like the way, cooking in the stoves and things that and serving to kids.
And not in a sack lunch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We're going to get into that a little bit, speaking of menus in a little bit. So we're going to share a few things that's quite interesting.
Very good. Very good. For folks that aren't familiar, Healthy Kids Chaves County is part of the umbrella of the New Mexico Department of Health. And the rest pretty much kind of self-explained. Their goal and mission is providing opportunities and food and education for kids in Chaves County through the schools, through youth groups, through any ways, means available to try to educate parents and families on healthy eating and resources on how to execute all these things.
Yes.
That's kind of what you guys do.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell.
Yes.
And encourage physical activity.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and the other part, too, is going, not only eating healthy, but when you mess up, because we all mess up. I just had a whole conversation about cream cheese and roast beef paired together. That happens from time to time. So to fix that, go do some physical stuff.
Right.
And that kind of definitely, and it's good even when you are eating healthy to have the exercise. You actually start feeling better.
Absolutely.
I know it's hard to get up and do it, but once you do it, it's all right. You know
And
what I mean?
you almost
You feel
feel bad if you don't.
Right. And you feel so good afterwards. It's like, why am I not doing this every day?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, well, you know what? And I know we're getting already off in a tangent, but we kind of aren't. I think we don't need to kill ourselves. I think everyone thinks when people when I'm going to start an exercise regime, they I think by default we kick our butts too hard early. You know what I mean? We all right, we're going to go in there and get on the treadmill for a half hour, and then I'm going to, after that I'm going to lift some weights and all that. And you're like, yeah, okay, that's great if you've been working out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But when you just roll up into it, it's like cooking. You've never cooked it before. You're not going to roll up and start cooking Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to do that. You're going to start off with some simple things.
Do it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, your exercise should be the same way. If you don't exercise regularly or do things, and then you go to the gym and wonder why you're about to die, that's you got to build up to that. You got to, start by just taking a walk or doing things, and as you do it regularly, you're going to find that things get easier, and then you can up your game a little bit and say, you know what, I'm going to make that walk another block farther this time.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah, and that's really that's all there is to it. You don't have to kill it in one session. Right. And then when you find out it sucks, then you don't do it again. That's I think that's what we do.
Well, and Paula and Becky are experts on teaching you how to make it fun.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they have, all the ideas that they spread with our school children.
Yeah, so I know a lot of what we're talking about here applies to the kids, but in all fairness, a lot of it doesn't. And really it starts with the home and the family.
For sure.
You got to have good examples.
Yeah. If the parents aren't, I mean, we all love to do as I say, not as I do. I mean, we're all masters at it. Every single one of us. We like to, get in there and read your book, and you're in the other room. It's like, my show's on. You know what I mean? We all do that.
Right.
But so this time let's do it together. And I think and kids are also a barometer too, because the kids probably learn some things in school, learn about healthy eating, or learn about stuff that maybe even lunches they have at school. It's like, hey, why can't we cook that at home? And it kind of forces the parents to play ball a little bit too, which is a good thing.
Right.
So, good deal. So, talk about events, things, anything we want to make sure we first get on people's radar here. I know we're just talking generalities here, but is there anything we specifically program things that we want to kind of get on people's radar right now?
We are doing the Eat Smart to Play Hard program with 4th and 5th graders.
Okay.
We have 3 schools that are finishing up, the program. It's a 4-week program where students take a booklet home that suggests a simple meal and a simple activity that they can do at home.
Okay.
And that's like you were saying, we're trying to connect the home with what we teach the kids.
Sure.
So Sunset, Missouri Avenue, and Nancy Lopez are almost finished.
Okay.
Pecos started, I believe, last week or the week before.
Okay.
And they'll be finished pretty quick. And then we'll be going to the Valley, and we'll be doing it in Dexter, Hagerman, and Lake Arthur.
Okay. Is the goal to eventually try to get in all the elementary schools? And
It would
things?
be great if
Sure.
we could. We added 2 schools this year.
Good.
So hopefully if we did that, we could
Well, and
have everyone doing it.
And I imagine because it's all about money and funding and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
and the proof will be in the pudding there, because I'm sure you're already seeing successes in those first schools that started the program. You're seeing that now in the new ones you're incorporating, and so
Right.
logic would dictate they're saying this program works, let's invest more money, and now it's a commonplace. So I think we're closer
Right.
to that goal, but the real trick is, when it is offered at your schools and things, make sure as families you
to do it.
participate in these
And it
programs.
is funded by the University of New Mexico. They have
Okay.
a grant. It's
Okay.
the Pediatric Research
Okay,
Center that champions the program.
nice. Okay,
And they keep lots of data. They make sure that it is being effective.
they're doing all the science and
They're doing all the
work
science
behind
and the
it, yeah.
research, but the grant provides the materials and to train us to do the program. And
Okay.
then we go out and do the program with the kids.
Very nice.
Right,
Very
right.
cool.
And I think Shelly has some things to say. This is Nutrition Month. March is
okay.
National Nutrition Month.
So we
And-
use as a reminder to say, hey, try to find healthy options and look for foods, even though, ice cream tastes good, but we can find some options that work with it, right?
For sure, for sure.
She's doing some great things in Dexter.
Yes, we just wanted to use this month as sort of a reminder. I know we're missing a whole week of school because of spring break, but we're doing a few things. We're going to do a taste testing in one of the elementary classes, Mrs. Amaro's class, and we're going to taste test different kinds of citrus fruits and,
Oh, cool.
and do
Okay.
some comparisons, maybe even some blindfold testing. I haven't quite decided how we're going to do it, but that'll be fun. And the kids will get some citrus fruits maybe that they haven't had before. We're going
Okay.
to do several kinds, maybe some
Some
blood
more-
oranges.
Some more tropical ones. and
Yes,
things.
a
Okay.
few things like that. We're also going to do a sampling with the middle school, and what we're going to sample is some hummus, and we're going to do a traditional hummus. I think that's my favorite.
Okay.
And we're going to sample it with maybe some different kinds of vegetables to show that there's other things to eat besides chips.
Sure.
We're making a few posters to put around, and one of them we just wanted to show students that a regular size bottle of Coca-Cola has 16 teaspoons of sugar.
Oh yeah, it's those things are. I think if most people just made that switch,
Yeah.
they're going to see their health measurably go up. Just that one simple change alone from laying off the leaded sodas or switching to a diet at least,
Yes.
or a zero sugar, that you'll see a change in that, some of that stuff.
Yes, and try to talk about what empty calories are.
Yeah.
You can have sugar and some other stuff, but maybe it has the vitamins and minerals and things that you need. So that's
Sure.
a few of the things, that we're going to do, and some Facebook posts, things like that, just to maybe get it rolling for the summer.
I think we should do an adult, like you're talking about the tropical fruit, the samplings and some of that. I think we should have an adult version, but for like all those fruits at the store we've heard of but never really tried, like jackfruit.
Yes.
Like you always see that, like they're
right.
they're from wherever where the Philippines or South Africa, wherever some of these fruits come from, and you always see them, and you're like, all right, like you see them in a lot of juices and things, and you're like, all right, what's a jackfruit really taste like, or what's I'm trying to think of. There's another one out there that they use a lot.
I know,
That's,
Shelly, you did one last year, that little
Yes.
furry looking.
There's
Yeah.
there's a program that schools can apply for that's called the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program.
Okay.
And that's actually what they encourage
Okay.
is to try some of those fruits that you may not even
Look
see them
different to you,
anywhere.
yeah.
Yes. And one of the ones that we tried was called a rambutan,
okay.
and it kind of looked like a little hairy ball of a thing, but when you cut it open,
Y'all are brave.
yes,
That's one of my rules.
the kids loved
My
it.
fruit should not have hair.
That's exactly what it looked like too, like something out of the ocean, even maybe.
The
But
crustacean.
yes, but when you opened it, it was just a little white fruit in the middle,
Yeah.
very sweet. The kids,
It
enjoyed
was
it.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny
But-
to
but-
look at.
Scary
yeah.
to look at.
And you mentioned like you said, seafood and crustacean, and it's really the same mindset a little
Right,
bit. Where
right.
because let's face it, seafood's delicious and pretty healthy for the
It
most
is.
part. As
Yes.
far as the protein goes, pretty much any seafood. Now we start adding butter and all the other nonsense, and it's a little different. But as a
true.
protein, fish, crab, shrimp, all those are excellent sources of protein and not loaded in the cholesterols and all the things that are not good for us.
Yes.
But I ain't gonna lie, you look at an oyster or something and you're like, how hungry was that guy to eat that the first time? You know what I mean? Or a crab walking around, you're like, delicious. You know what I mean?
Right?
And so, so you got to get out of your comfort. So something like this, and you're like, all right, that's a furry piece of fruit.
Or
Yes.
kiwi.
I would never
kiwi
touch
is
that in
good.
the world.
Kiwi is
Yeah.
even funky
Yeah.
looking.
Sure.
Yeah.
But now you get to try them in a
Right.
place, and you know what? You eat it, and you're like, oh, that's gross. I'll never eat that again. But you're like, you know what? That tasted good. I'm going to try that
Sure.
in some other things. I would have never done that because it looks weird. But now that I've had it, I'm like, you know what? That's actually pretty good. And some, like,
Artichoke.
yeah. Oh yeah, artichokes
Right.
are delicious.
Yeah.
They are.
But man, are they a pain to look at and everything. You're just, they look like the most, like they don't want you to eat it. Like
They don't look
artichokes are built
appealing.
to, like we're defending ourselves up so you don't eat us, But it really is pretty
Leave
good.
us alone.
Yeah, yeah. They kind of, it's kind of God's nature there. Maybe that's what with some of these fruits and the fur on it. They're like, hey, if we make ourselves look ugly, we don't get eaten as much.
It was certainly the talk of the school for a few days because they were not pretty.
Good deal. But I imagine you had it and everyone's like it and you're like, oh, I bet this would be good with. And that's what
Yes.
usually happens is they try them and you're like,
Right.
okay, I bet if you paired this
Right.
with this item, it would be very good. And so, but that's really healthy eating in a nutshell. I mean, it's getting kids and adults nowadays to try things that are out of the
Just try it.
different. And
Yes.
and let's face it, we live in a world that's smaller. So like when we were kids growing up, there's so many foods that are really easily accessible to people that weren't accessible to us 20, 30 years. Like jackfruit and some of these fruits we're talking about.
Right.
There's no way they could have got that to us in a fresh, consistency without. Now, the world's changed a little bit, and they're able to, with freezing and with shipping and all that, they're a little bit faster about that stuff.
Well,
so,
and farmers have, put things together. Like at Graves, I think they have a honeylope.
Yes.
That was,
okay,
putting,
so it's like a crossbreed of a cantaloupe and a honeydew kind
exactly.
of thing?
And the kids love it.
Okay.
And it
So
is
that's
sweeter than sugar.
Is it?
Oh,
What color
it
is
is
it, out of
delicious.
curiosity?
It looks more like a cantaloupe.
Oh, so it's more the orangey color.
Yes.
Okay. But it's got,
But it's good.
because I'm one of those people that I do not like cantaloupe, but I do like honeydew.
Okay.
You would
should
probably
go
like
try
it.
Yeah.
Try it.
So I'm wondering how that's going to be there.
It's got a little milder on the cantaloupe flavor and a little sweeter from the
honeydew. Okay.
honeydew.
And that's maybe why I like the sweetness because I'm not a big fruit guy. We've had these discussions. I eat
Yeah.
watermelon, pineapple,
Strawberry?
honeydew. I don't like strawberries.
No?
No strawberry.
And like apples, I don't like apples. But of course, you put it in a pie or something, and I'm down. But
Or caramel dip.
yeah, exactly. Although no, it would. It
No?
has to be cooked. Like raw apple is gross.
Oh,
to me.
I see.
But if it's cooked in a pie or cooked in a cobbler or something, then I'm okay with it.
I would be the opposite. I like the crunch.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
And I've tried really hard. Like I'm like, what am I missing here? And I take a big old bite. Like and maybe as I'm an adult now, and then I bite them. Nope, still don't like it.
Nope.
I've really tried with a couple of these. Tomatoes is another one I don't
Right.
like. That. I mean, I like cooked tomatoes and chili, but you caught a raw tomato and put it on a sandwich or something.
Right.
I'm picky like that. I'm weird like that.
Shelly and Kim Meeks and Roswell with our Roswell schools, they work so hard with so many regulations
Sure.
that are put upon them to serve our kids. But they work so hard to make it good and not everything's available right now. I know,
Sure.
Shelley.
That is true.
How is that? I'm curious because we see that in the private world and we go to get grocery stores and you see the shelves missing things. But as far as like supplies delivered to the schools and things. Is it the same deal? Where
It's a major problem.
what's some of the items that are really short right now, like you guys haven't seen in a while or haven't seen much of in a while?
Well,
Just curious.
one of the things is one of the major manufacturers of cereal.
Okay.
So keep in mind for school nutrition, we have to have a lower sugar, lower fat, lower salt. And so the manufacturers, they manufacture a cereal bowl, and you can get them in 1 ounce, which meets a 1 grain, or 2 ounce that meets a 2 grain. But back in December, they quit manufacturing those.
Oh.
And there was several reasons: lack of workers, lack of truck drivers, no ways to get it out.
Sure.
The manufacturers that we used, thank goodness, had a lot in their storage already.
Okay.
And so we didn't have to until about the last month. You might order 10 cases and you got 2.
Gotcha.
And so we had to start switching around and seeing what other, kind of whole grain, low fat, low salt, low sugar cereal we could get for the kids. And
that kids would actually enjoy.
exactly
That's
right.
the other trick too. It's like, yeah, we'll
Yes.
just give them Wheaties. We're like, yeah, how many kids are going to eat that? You
Exactly.
know what I mean? So-
But they work endless hours trying to figure out these menus. And,
Sure.
I mean, they just need a real good pat on the back.
Yes, they do, because they do a great job.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't care what school district, whether it's Roswell
Right.
or Dexter or Hagerman,
Everybody's in the same
Artesia,
boat.
all of them are all
Yes.
trying to do the same thing. And I imagine working together in many aspects
Yes.
here. And I'm sure you're talking with the Roswell folks here on,
Of course.
especially during when COVID was going on
Mm-hmm.
and where everything's done remotely. And it's like, hey, we got some, I'm sure there was Dexter folks that were serving Roswell kids and vice versa.
Of course.
During that time here, that's.
Well, and manufacturers like General Mills, is that I'm not supposed to say that.
I don't know.
Oops. Anyway,
Ignore
manufacturers, erase that thought from your mind. But the manufacturers, they produce certain things for cafeterias that meet those requirements.
Got you.
K-12.
And they don't
But
make
they're different than what they would put on a grocery store shelf.
Exactly.
exactly.
Gotcha.
They make more money from the grocery store products than they do from the
Sure.
school products.
Gotcha.
So that's another reason they're focusing on
Yeah.
the
They're a
products
company at
that
the end of
go-
the day.
Yes.
They're not a charity,
exactly.
yeah.
So then that makes them run short as
Sure.
well.
Yes, and they've had terrible time, with truck drivers just getting people to deliver it, and with their workers, all the manufacturers are telling me we don't have workers, and I know during the pandemic, one of the places that I order from did not have truck drivers to bring up the product
Oh, wow.
from San Antonio to Lubbock, and their big guys themselves went down to San Antonio and drove those trucks
Oh,
so
wow.
that we could get food.
That's great.
Wow. You appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, because
Definitely.
what's worse than having the food but can't get it to nobody?
Right.
Because now
It's going to run.
Right.
exactly, it's perishable items here.
Yes.
It's so it's
Sure.
great to see they said, you know what, we got to get it here and come hell or high water, we're going to make that happen. So
Yes.
unfortunately, there's probably a lot of that going on and more of that going on, and we need to get to that point in the world, hopefully, where we're catching up to some of that stuff, and hopefully. I'm not trying to get political here, but maybe with the lessening of COVID restrictions and things, and maybe that we'll start to see us play catch up a little bit on some of
We're
this
hoping.
stuff. Because
We're hoping. I know
Yeah.
this cereal company has started reproducing those cereals for us this last
Okay.
week. They've started, so it'll take a couple of months, for that to
Sure, to
trickle down.
meticulate down, but
and it
yeah.
wasn't just cereal. It was a lot of the breakfast items because they have a different recipe, a different formula.
gotcha.
That they, trickled off making those a little bit. And you might order 10 cases and you get 2, or you might order frozen broccoli and you get fresh, or vice versa. So it's been a little tricky to.
How does that work
menus.
with menu planning and things? I mean, like,
Exactly.
like just
Right.
like
Exactly.
I'm kind of, and I know this is a little how the sausage made, but I'm kind of just gee whiz curious. So like how far in advance do you guys plan? Like, do you go plan like a whole school lunch menu years worth in advance, that far ahead?
I'm
so like
planning-
in March of next year, you're going to be doing pizza on the 17th or whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay.
We've just ordered commodities. We just finished ordering all the commodities for next school year.
Okay.
So we've got all of those center of the plate, the most expensive items pre-ordered. They're
Gotcha.
already ordered, and those pounds
And
are
the
set aside.
non-perishable stuff, obviously. Some of it,
You can order that as you need it.
Yeah, sure.
But we make the whole menu the year ahead so
Okay.
that we know what we're going to feed the kids because we have to meet those regulations.
Gotcha.
The minimum on, calories, fats, sodium, all of those things. We have to prepare that menu the year ahead.
Sure.
And to make sure that it's going to work and what food items go together so that we don't go over our regulation or under. Sometimes it happens.
Sure.
So we
And
gotta hit it.
I would imagine too, it's very stringent. It's not like cooking at home. Because like when you're at home cooking and you're making
Right.
Or
spaghetti
not
or
cooking
something,
at home.
but even just say you're making spaghetti
Right,
or something,
right.
and I cook like this, and I'm sure other people do. You're like, you know what? I'm going to throw some of this sage in here for the heck of
Yep.
it. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
you can't do that.
Nope.
And because obviously not just the dietary side, but even allergies and things. Because
Exactly.
If
Yes.
in theory these kids have to know exactly the ingredients in there in case there's allergies and any of that kind of stuff. So you can't just on a whim be like, yeah, you know what, make this really
Right.
good. Mushrooms.
Well,
you know.
and not only that, we have other things besides allergies. We have kids maybe with diabetes and those kind of things. So we have to cook a consistent menu. So when the nurse calls and says, how many carbs are in the spaghetti or how
Sure.
many carbs are in this meal or that meal, we have those answers and we don't have to stop and think, well, what did we cook? How did we cook it? So we have those recipes.
I'm kind of curious too, and this is another just gee whiz kind of thing. In the world we live in now, more people make choices in their eating and their styles and things. You got people that are going towards vegetarian lifestyles, things like that. Do you see that in the schools where kids, like some of a portion of the kids are under vegetarians and they have to do menus accordingly? Do you see that kind of stuff at the elementary school level, or is that something you see later in
Not so much in Dexter. We're
Okay.
very fortunate in Dexter. We have a lot of mamas that like to cook.
Okay.
And so they like most everything. We don't have too much trouble in Dexter with
Gotcha.
that. But there are options, that we can do that, are meatless or,
Sure.
we make salads
Yeah.
for the high school.
I just
and-
didn't know if that was something that they incorporate in programs
can.
now. Way it's like you
Yes.
got kids that come in. I would imagine with high schools and some of the older kids, that's a little bit more in place. But I didn't know with the elementary if that was the case. Because I mean, let's face it: if you got a family and they're vegetarian or vegan,
Right.
and when they come to school, they don't want to give their kid a cheeseburger, obviously.
Exactly.
And we're lucky that Shelly and I think also in Roswell they have the salad option. It used to we had a salad bar where the kids could fill their own.
Sure, yeah.
Because of COVID, they had to
COVID.
stop
Yeah,
that.
they didn't like
but
that.
they do have that option where the servers they tell them what they want on
Oh,
their
so
salad.
still a salad
yes.
bar, but you don't.
Right.
But it's one person doing all the serving.
Right,
Gotcha.
right.
Okay.
We're hoping to get back to salad bars next year. We're hoping.
But that's a nice, really great
But I
option.
even I would even say that the salad bar is much more effective than handing out prepackaged salads because
Oh yeah.
Personal.
I think a kid likes the idea of walking through and be like, yeah, give me that, don't give me
Yes.
that, give me
Yes,
that.
They sure
Exactly.
You know, and I mean, adults like that. How many times do we go to the buffet salivating and it's like, ooh, look, I get that. Same thing, except it's
Right.
a salad bar, all of
Right.
it's pretty healthy. You know,
Yes.
that's great. Yeah, unless you put a gallon of dressing on it, but that's
Well, there is that.
there is that. But at school, it's fat free.
good.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
so it's less damaging, but,
Yeah.
but even still, a gallon of fat-free dressing is better.
Right.
Is not as good as just less of dressing. So
Exactly.
We're finding different ways to create that flavor. which
Right.
that's what you guys do. And
Right.
Yeah.
And recipe wise, Shelly sent home recipes this
Yes.
year.
We had a science night at the middle school, and so
Okay.
we took that opportunity, put up a little poster, and handed out some healthy pasta salads, and
Okay.
had some takers on that.
Good.
So that was a fun way.
I think adults should, because we're always looking for new things to prep and take it from the kids. You
Absolutely.
get these recipes from them. It's like, hey, next thing you know, you got a family recipe for pasta salad for dinner
Yes.
one night, or a taco salad, or something. You know.
And it was really easy, and the ICANN people supplied those recipes, and they're super easy recipes that you could do at home and tasty.
Good deal.
Not a lot of ingredients. Just a few ingredients, 4 or 5,
Okay.
that you would probably have on hand,
Okay.
which
And,
is
Paula's posted a lot of those on our Facebook page.
yes.
Good deal.
and in
through
our
our-
newsletter
Right.
Okay. Very
that
good.
we do.
One other thing I just want to mention real quick while we're kind of talking about this, and it kind of fits the subject we're talking about here, is like supply and demand. Like you said, it's tricky. You go to the grocery stores, you see a lot of things. Well, you know where you can make up with some of that stuff? Locally.
Yes.
We Grace Farms and all our other different farms and things. It's not a supply issue. They grow it right there. And as long as you're willing to go get it, it's right there and it's right here. So maybe some of those grocery store issues, certain produce and things, you'll find it at locally grown. And to be honest, it's probably better quality, better,
Sure it is.
healthier
They have
option for you.
fresh.
So,
Our farmers market.
yeah, farmers market. So think outside
have-
the box a little bit for when you're digging for things and you're saying, I haven't been able to get this in weeks. Well, you know what? Maybe you can, just not, the way you looked at it, and actually a better version of it sometimes. So.
Yes.
Right. And Shelly, Dexter and Roswell both apply for the New Mexico Grown grant
Okay.
and have received it in the past. And they certainly use every penny of that, mostly at Graves.
I use all of mine from Graves. They're right in my back door, so it's
Yeah,
really
it
easy.
just makes sense
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
and
I
we're
mean, it's
hoping
convenient.
It would be, we're hoping in the future that other districts will
Sure.
apply for that.
I think that's got to be the wave of the future. You know what I mean? We talk about, supply chains. That you're going to need that globally. It's just part of it. But I think we can do the ancillary, or we can supply and even surpass in some cases by doing all the farm to table style
Right.
stuff in schools. I mean, shoot, we're in a huge agricultural industry with dairy and produce and the things that are grown here. Why should we be wanting? We got beef here, we got produce here, we got milk, all of
Exactly.
it
Right.
in our own backyard.
And cheese.
Yeah, exactly. It's all right here in our backyard.
Yeah, it is.
Why should we be worrying about hunger around here? We shouldn't.
Well, and it's the truth. And the New Mexico Grown Grant, and I encourage all schools to apply for that because that actually benefits our school lunch program. And it provides those vegetables, and we get to spend that grant. And I think the hard part that people misunderstand, and it's where Becky and Paula can come in, is the state requires a little bit of education piece to go with it to teach the kids. And I think that's where people get hung up. But Becky and Paula have great ideas, and they'll even come out and help you execute those
Sure.
ideas.
Yes, we
and
will.
make it fun.
It's fun to teach it. I mean, it's cooking, it's food, it's
Right.
it's all stuff that everybody loves. Everybody
Yes.
loves food. We
Like
all
the
love
tasting
food.
she's going to do,
Yeah.
with the fourth graders, or the sampling in the cafeteria. Those are great ways to get kids to try things and to get some education in.
Getting
Exactly.
that, I one of the most memorable things in school. I mean, I remember a lot of stuff and learned a lot of good things. I want to say, but like when I think back of classes and memories, home economics was some.
Yes.
I remember so much from the cooking, especially the cooking side, because I was more into that than the sewing. I mean, I learned to sew and all that. And it's very handy, and I've used it many times. But to this day, learning in those kitchens and learning about how cooking works and all that stuff. I just think we need more of that in the schools. I know in the world we live in now, it's all about tests and STEM, and that's important.
Absolutely.
But you can't cause the other things to take a back seat from that. The life skills, home economics, and shop, and these things, physical education. These are skill sets that make a well-rounded individual. And I think maybe even some of our nutrition issues could be stemmed to lack of some of these programs advancing in schools and things like that. So that's a discussion for our legislators, but still at the same time, let's bring as much of that into the schools as possible, because great, we got big brains filled with knowledge, but if they're only living to 55 because they eat like 7-year-olds their whole life,
Right,
then
right.
that's a problem.
And the legislature in New Mexico has been extremely supportive
Yes.
with the New Mexico Grown.
Yeah.
They have been great to support that and farm to school.
Yeah, and on another note, we encourage healthy fundraisers. Healthy instead of selling those
Candy bars.
right?
donuts and
Or
things.
those donuts.
Donuts, yeah.
In
Those.
fact, Dexter's having pretty soon an elementary dance that's going to be a fundraiser for some educational items for their school.
Oh, cool.
But the dance is active.
Absolutely.
And so,
Right.
Dexter's-
birds with one stone.
Dexter's
Yeah.
getting ready to do that. In Roswell, we've had numerous color runs. Now East Grand Plains is working on a jogathon.
Sure.
And then they, have the kids get pledges, and then so many rounds around the track, they, earn money for that school,
Sure.
for that fundraiser. So
Yeah.
we try to encourage that, and we have wonderful PE teachers, and
Yes.
in all of our Chaves County schools that have walking
Absolutely.
programs and it's just a way of life. It's
Yeah.
kind of changed. And I know during the COVID we had more people walking our trails and using our facilities in our new aquatic center that we've ever had before.
Absolutely.
So I think it's eating healthy and physical education or some kind of activity is
Absolutely. For
a new
folks,
way of life.
for folks here in Roswell, obviously we're talking about the healthy eating and the food side of things. There's a lot of resources. Please reach out to the schools. Obviously, folks in Dexter, but that other part is, like you said, is go to RoswellConnect.com. That is
Yes.
all the recreation side to Roswell. If you want to get passes to the Aquatics and Recreation Center,
Right.
if you want to be a part of the things at the zoo or the museums. I mean, yeah, those are more looking things, but that's physical
Right.
and learning too, walking around the museums and doing all that, all incorporating some of that's all through there. So when you're done learning about good foods and eating healthy, use the Roswell Connect as an opportunity to find out what recreational activities are available here. Learn about the trails, the bike rentals, all the things
Right.
that you can do over at the recreation center there.
Well, and we have Bitter Lake trails. And
Yeah.
We have a trail around
The
Lake
BLM
Van.
area right there. I mean, there's all
Right.
kinds of physical.
And Lake Van has
Yeah.
a trail around
Lake
there.
Van.
They do. Yes.
Maybe enter one of the Milkman triathlons
Right.
one year
There
or
you go.
something like
Right.
that.
There
yeah.
you go.
One year, we're about out of time, but our radio, we were sponsoring the Milkman one year, and we did our version called the Lazy Man Triathlon. So after they competed, they had to drink a thing of milk, sit in a chair for a minute, and there's something else equally lazy. I don't
Okay,
remember
we
what
gotta
it was.
get you in that.
Yeah, we're going to do that
We
this
fed him
time.
milk. So. Needless to say, we had quite a
Great.
few participants. I think they had to eat ice cream in 30 seconds
right.
or
Oh,
something.
gosh.
Yeah, one of the cups of ice cream. But they had to do it 30 seconds. Brain freeze. That's a real thing.
That is a real thing.
It's a hazard. But get involved in some of this stuff.
Sure.
That's part of the fun, and really, and create your own. I mean, that's the other thing too. If there's nothing the city's going on that you're into, fine. Go out to the park and start a pickup frisbee game
Right.
or a,
Or I even
whatever.
posted recently, we have a local dog training class, and they take walks down our trail with the dogs.
There you go.
And so, I mean, there's all sorts of
beautiful
different
idea, yeah.
organizations that are getting out.
Go
and doing-
volunteer, like the Humane Society.
Oh,
They
yeah.
always
Oh,
are
yeah.
looking for dog walkers, and especially this time of year when the weather's nice before it gets too hot.
Right.
If you're helping out the Humane Society and getting a little physical activity for yourself
Right.
too, so it's a win-win for everybody.
It is.
So,
It
things like that.
definitely is.
Look for them. They're
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, we're about out of time. Is there anything we wanted to get? We just got. I started telling stories about. And we skipped over. Happens.
We'll be starting gardens, and we'll talk about more about that next month when we
Okay.
come. But Mrs. Amaro is going to have a herb garden
In Dexter.
in Dexter,
Nice.
Yes.
and getting that going. And she's a master gardener. She likes to garden, so we're excited about that.
Nice.
Lake Arthur's going to have a community garden. In Hagerman, we have Cody.
Cody Montes.
Okay.
She's the ag teacher, and she helps us with gardening. And
Okay.
then in Roswell, of course, Dr. Ryan has her carrots going and beets at
Pecos.
Pecos. And then we have Nancy Lopez that does a lot of gardening, and that goes to the cafeteria.
Nice.
They do at Pecos. So we'll talk about that more.
Yeah, we'll do
But
that
that's
next time.
going to get started.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And by the way, if there's food you don't like, grow herbs. The herbs
Yes,
make things taste
absolutely.
good. That's the secrets in the seasoning sometimes.
Yeah,
lower
it
in
is.
salt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, other than salt. Yeah, there's other
Other
ones.
than salt.
Yeah,
yes.
other than salt. There's other seasonings out there other than salt.
Right.
They won't raise your blood pressure that quickly. And taste just as good. So, very good. And of course, you can, if you have any questions or want more information about anything we talked about, follow the Healthy Kids Chaves County Facebook page there too. There's always information and things going up and being posted there. Shelly, for if anybody has any questions for Dexter Schools related things, is there a number or a website you probably could, is
They have
food
a
service or
Facebook.
anything?
They do have a Facebook,
Okay.
and if there's anything specific, they can always call the school and ask for my office. I'll be glad to help with whatever I can do.
And of course, if there's farms, things that are looking to partner with our schools here and wanting to do more, reach out. That's the key, is getting these in. When we start these programs and things, which is great, but we need to invest more time, money, effort into those,
Right.
so that these programs become the norm in these things.
Yes.
where,
That's exactly right.
you know, maybe at some point we're talking 50% of the produce that kids eat in schools are coming from their own gardens and things. That'd be
That'd
cool
be
to say
wonderful.
something like that at one point. You
It
know?
would be fabulous.
Or coming from Gray's Farm, or someone from right here in our own backyard. That would be beautiful.
That's
So,
right.
good
That's
deal.
right.
Well, thank you, ladies. I'm sure
Thank
you got
you.
many a fire to stomp out now, so we'll let you go do that. And
We're working on that milkman team for you.
there we
Yeah,
go.
we are.
There we go. And I imagine you got some lunch to get ready. So thank you guys. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right.